Manatee, you were unconscious for 3 months, while your family only cared about Ryan, the one responsible for everything. And because he tried to take his own life, they left you to fend for yourself. When you finally woke up, everything became clear. What was the point of trying to please a family this worthless? Sometimes, going crazy was the strongest weapon you had against the world. You walked straight toward him, grabbed Ryan by the hair, and slammed his face into the cake. My oldest sister, Claire, snapped, "Ethan, have you lost your mind? Apologize to Ryan right now." I slapped Claire across the face. "Apologize my ass. Shut your mouth." My second sister, Chloe, reached out to stop me. "Did you take the wrong medication or something?" I turned around and slapped Chloe across the face too. "You shut up too." My third sister, Hannah, opened her mouth to speak. Hannah immediately covered her face. Her features twisted with rage. "I didn't even say anything." "Why did you hit me?" I gave her a cold smile. "Because I felt like it." "Do I need a reason?" Hannah was so furious, she couldn't even respond. Mrs. Carter was just about to explode, but I beat her to it and spat at her. "I don't want to hear a word from you. Keep your mouth shut." Then I picked up a drink from the table and splashed it all over Mr. Carter. "Everyone gets a share. Unlike you people, I don't play favorites." Everyone was stunned. None of them had expected this. 3 months ago, I'd still been desperately trying to win their approval. But after spending 3 months unconscious, the moment I woke up, I started hitting and cursing them like I'd completely lost it. I was the Carter family's real biological son. On the day I was born, I had been switched with the nanny's son. Less than a year ago, the Carter family discovered the truth and brought me home. But they couldn't bear to part with Ryan, whom they'd raised for 19 years. So they let him stay with the Carter family. Afraid Ryan might feel hurt or neglected, they treated him even better than before, while keeping their own biological son at a cold distance. Ryan was an expert at playing innocent. He constantly schemed to make the Carter family hate me. 3 months ago, Ryan pushed me off a 15-foot-high stage, but my family ignored me lying there covered in blood and rushed over to comfort the terrified Ryan instead. As they ran to him, they even stepped over my body, making my already battered condition even worse. In the end, I fell into a coma. My icy gaze swept across everyone in the room. Before settling on Ryan, he instinctively shuddered and hid behind Claire in fear. I sneered, "Either he stays in this family, or I do. If you want me to stay, throw him out right now, and never let him set foot in this house again." I'd spent all this time trying to get along with them, trying desperately to become part of this family. But these people were hopeless idiots. They ignored their own flesh and blood, and revolved their entire lives around Ryan, that fake little saint. Now I'd given up. I couldn't make all of them like me, but I could definitely make all of them hate me. If they were determined to make me miserable, then nobody was going to have a good time. Mrs. Carter was furious. "Ryan will always be the precious son of the Carter family, as long as we're alive. This will always be his home." Hannah snapped, "How can you be so cruel? Ryan has always treated you so well. Why do you keep targeting him? You even want to throw him out of the family." Smack. I slapped her across the face again. Hannah nearly exploded. "Ethan, you've gone way too far. I'm going to teach you a lesson today." She shot to her feet, ready to come at me. By then, the rest of the family had recovered from their shock, and they all stood up, ready to attack me together. Every one of them was thinking the same thing. They had to teach this ungrateful bastard a lesson today, and put me back in my place. Otherwise, how could they ever save face? They had the advantage in numbers. But I fought dirty and without restraint. I spat at them, pulled their hair, and grabbed anything within reach to use as a weapon. The 4 of them couldn't even handle me alone. Taking advantage of the chaos, I raced upstairs. As I ran, I shouted, "Since none of you will throw Ryan out, then I'll leave. From today on, I'm cutting all ties with the Carter family. We're done for good. If we meet outside someday, don't even pretend you know me." Without wasting another second, I ran back to my room and grabbed my ID and documents, then climbed out the window and jumped. The second floor was fairly high, but I'd trained in dance, so a drop like that wasn't much trouble for me. Back in the living room, Ryan clung to Mr. Carter and sobbed his heart out. I've always wanted to have a good relationship with Ethan. Whenever I had something good, he was always the first person I thought of. I never imagined he hated me this much, Dad, Mom, maybe I should just leave the Carter family. After all, Ethan is your biological son. No matter how badly he behaves, your blood still runs through his veins. I'm just an outsider. I'll go after him right now. I'll even kneel and beg him if I have to. As long as he comes back and takes my place in caring for Dad and Mom, I won't have any regrets. Ryan sounded so sincere that the Carter family felt both touched and heartbroken. Mr. Carter said, "Don't say things like that. In Dad's eyes, you'll always be my precious son." Mrs. Carter added, "That disgrace Ethan could never compare to you. Even if he came back, he'd only turn this family upside down. He'd never take care of me. He even hit his own parents. He's completely out of control." Anna agreed. The only meaningful thing Ethan ever did was getting switched with a kind little angel like you and bringing you into the Carter family, giving us someone as kind-hearted as you. That's the only good thing that ever came from his existence. Ryan bit his lip, but before Grandpa died, he left Ethan 30% of the company. What if Ethan uses those shares to cause trouble at the company? What are we supposed to do then? Mrs. Carter frowned. The shares in his hands are definitely a problem. But if he's determined to leave the Carter family, then he can't take Carter Group shares with him. Tomorrow, I'll bring some people to find him and make him hand those shares back outside a hotel. I stood with my arms crossed, leaning casually against one of the entrance pillars. A Maybach slowly pulled up. Then, an impossibly beautiful woman stepped out of the car. Her name was Vivian Blake, the woman in control of Blake Group, and the richest person in Harbor City. I stepped forward and blocked Vivian's path. Vivian stopped. Her cold gaze settled on me. Before she could speak, I beat her to it. "Ms. Blake, I'd like to discuss a business deal with you. I own 30% of Carter Group, and I want to sell every share to you." The Carter family had once been the richest family in Harbor City, although Blake Group had now surpassed them. Their power was still nothing to underestimate. The two families had always been business rivals. If Vivian managed to acquire 30% of Carter Group, swallowing the entire Carter Group would only be a matter of time. The frostiness on Vivian's face faded slightly when she heard my offer. Her eyes narrowed, and she began studying me seriously, noticing the doubt in her eyes. I pulled out my ID and showed it to her. "I'm Ethan Carter, the Carter family's biological son. I'm sure you're aware, Miss Blake, that before Grandpa Carter died, he left 30% of Carter Group to the family's biological son. Correct?" Vivian glanced at my ID, then arched an intrigued brow. "Come inside with me." I followed Vivian up to the presidential suite on the hotel's top floor. Once we entered the room, Vivian got straight to the point. "How much do you want? For your 30% stake?" I smiled. 30 million. Vivian froze for a second. Surprise flashed through her eyes. She stared at me for a long moment. "Mr. Carter, do you understand what you're saying?" "I know exactly what I'm saying. I want 30 million. Vivian narrowed her eyes. "You'd better think carefully before you say that. I don't have time to play games with you." I looked at her seriously. "I'm not playing games. I'm completely serious. As long as you're willing to buy, I can transfer the shares whenever you want," Vivian said in a low voice. "Do you know how much Carter Group is worth?" I nodded. "I do. It's valued at $30 billion. The former richest family in Harbor City was obviously worth a fortune, with a valuation of $30 billion, selling 30% of the company for only $30 million. "Are you kidding me?" I answered calmly. "I'm not kidding. I only want $30 million in cash. But I also need you to sign a separate agreement with me." Vivian raised an eyebrow, silently motioning for me to continue. "The Carter family will definitely come after me. I need you to keep me safe, and most importantly, within 1 year, I want to see Carter Group change hands." The Carter family might have lost its position as Harbor City's richest family, but their foundation still ran deep. If anyone wanted to take down Carter Group and drive the Carter family into bankruptcy, Vivian was the only one capable of doing it. Vivian looked genuinely surprised by my demands. She asked with obvious interest, "Your grandfather treated you so well. He left you 30% of the company. Yet you want Carter Group destroyed. Aren't you afraid he'll turn in his grave?" Mockery flashed through my eyes. "That's exactly what I want. I want the Carters to die without ever finding peace." Everyone assumed. Grandpa Carter had willingly left me 30% of the company, But no one knew. I'd threatened the old man into giving me those shares. Then I suddenly remembered something important. Ms. Blake, I have one more request. Business people had their principles. Once a deal had already been finalized, you normally couldn't start adding new demands afterward. I stood up, ready to leave. I'll be going. Mr. Carter, why don't you tell me what you want? I might agree. I stopped and looked back at her. If you happen to have an extra property. I'd like to borrow it for a year or two. Somewhere quiet would be best, preferably somewhere ordinary people can't easily get into. After all, I'm a public figure. Too many neighbors could create unnecessary trouble. After I returned to the Carter family, Ryan had wanted to crush me in every possible way, so he dragged me into the entertainment industry with him. But Ryan always got cast as the male lead, while I played the vicious supporting character, and they deliberately made me look ugly on camera. By now, Ryan had already become a somewhat well-known innocent heartthrob in the entertainment industry, while I had become a notorious public punching bag. Staying at hotels or ordinary apartments would make it too easy for people to come looking for trouble. I couldn't buy a house myself either, because my household registration wasn't in Harbor City. Bayview Estate number 1 is quiet and private. The gate uses a keypad lock. Add me on WeChat. I'll send you the location and access code. I immediately pulled out my phone and added Vivian on WeChat. I saved her phone number while I was at it. Vivian quickly sent me the location, along with a string of numbers for the access code. I thanked her and left the suite. It was already late, so I went downstairs, booked a regular room, and stayed the night. The next morning, before I'd even gotten out of bed, my hotel room door was forced open. The Carter family stormed inside with a group of bodyguards. "Ethan, get up," Hannah shouted angrily, and yanked the blanket off me. I was forced awake. I stared at the people who had barged into my room, then at the blanket they'd ripped away from me. My expression turned ice cold. Hannah really was an idiot. She'd just ripped my blanket off without warning. Didn't she worry I might sleep naked? Get up and sign this contract. Mr. Carter spoke with a cold expression and threw an agreement onto me. I sat up and glanced through it, just as I'd expected. The Carter family was here to force me to surrender my shares. It was a share transfer agreement. Grandpa left those shares to me. I have no intention of transferring them. I'm not signing, Mr. Carter snapped. Those shares belong to the Carter family. You don't even consider us your family anymore. So what right do you have to keep Carter family shares? Claire looked at me with disgust. I never realized you were this greedy. You actually want to keep all those shares for yourself. Chloe looked equally furious. You should learn from Ryan. Ryan doesn't even own as many shares as you do. I sneered. Ryan wasn't the only one with fewer shares than me. No individual member of the Carter family owned as many shares as I did. Ryan spoke gently. Ethan, stop making Dad, Mom, and our sisters angry. Those shares are useless in your hands anyway. Just sign them over to Dad. And if you sign, I'll give you $100,000 as compensation, okay? Mr. Carter and my sisters all looked approvingly at him, clearly pleased by Ryan's so-called generosity. I laughed. $100,000 for 30% of the company? Are you tossing scraps to a beggar? What if I refuse to sign? Mr. Carter answered immediately. Your shares or your life. You choose. Even if you choose the shares over your life, once you're dead, those shares will still be inherited by us, your family. I'm giving you a choice because we're related. Don't push your luck. I'd already stopped expecting anything from family, but hearing those words from Mr. Carter still sent a sharp ache through my chest. My own biological dad actually wanted me dead. How ridiculous. I looked coldly at Mr. Carter. I can sign the agreement, but I have 2 conditions. Mr. Carter immediately asked. What conditions? First, give me $300 million. Second, sign another agreement. That no matter what happens in the future, I'll never be responsible for supporting any of you. Legally speaking, there was no such thing as simply signing away a parent-child relationship. But we could sign an agreement waiving any future support obligations, which was basically the closest thing to severing our relationship. Ryan shrieked, Are you trying to rob us? You're actually demanding $300 million? Claire snapped angrily. Ryan already offered you $100,000, and you're still not satisfied. You actually have the nerve to demand $300 million. You're unbelievably greedy. Money is the only thing you ever think about. After all, Chloe cut in from the side. Those shares aren't even worth $300 million. You're extorting us. I laughed mockingly. If you really think my shares aren't worth 300 million, then I'll give you 300 million instead, and immediately make a new will. If I die unexpectedly, every share I own will be forfeited to the state. My parents and sisters won't be entitled to inherit anything. How does that sound? No, they all shouted at once. I looked at them sarcastically. Why not? Didn't you just say, my shares aren't worth 300 million? Their faces flushed red, but none of them could answer. Don't treat me like some clueless idiot. After I received the shares, I specifically consulted a lawyer. My stake is worth well over 10 billion. Because you're supposedly my family, I was willing to let you have it for only 300 million. And don't bother hoping I'll die, so you can inherit everything. When I met with that lawyer, I already made a will. If I die unexpectedly, before transferring those shares, all of my assets will be donated to the state. My parents and sisters will have no right to inherit a single cent from my estate. The Carter family was absolutely furious. Ryan spoke slowly. I never knew you were this calculating, Ethan. You even made a will behind our backs. So you never considered us family from the very beginning. How can you repay everything we've done for you like this? Shut your damn mouth. If you keep putting on that innocent little act in front of me, I'll slap that performance right off your face. Ryan bit his lip, his eyes turning red with grievance. Hannah was just about to jump in and defend him, when I grabbed the ashtray from the nightstand and hurled it at her. You shut up too. I don't want to hear another sound out of you. The Carter family had already seen what I was like when I went off the rails, so none of them dared make a reckless move. Afraid I'd start hitting them again, Mr. Carter gritted his teeth. Fine, I agree to your conditions. I threw them all out of the room. After washing up, I left with them. We went to the bank first. Mr. Carter transferred 300 million to me. I specifically made him sign a statement confirming it was a voluntary gift. That way, he wouldn't be able to demand the money back later. Then we went to a law firm and signed an agreement regarding my future support obligations. On the way to the law firm, Mr. Carter had already contacted a lawyer to prepare everything. I took a photo of the agreement and sent it to Vivian, asking her to have one of her own lawyers look it over to make sure there were no hidden traps. After she told me everything looked fine, I signed it immediately and finalized the agreement. Then Mr. Carter immediately took out the share transfer agreement and shoved it in front of me. Hurry up and sign this too. You have no right to hold on to something that doesn't belong to you. The corner of my mouth curled upward. He was right. Those shares didn't belong to me anymore. They already belonged to Vivian Blake. I signed the share transfer agreement without hesitation. The Carter family was ecstatic. They crowded around the agreement, their eyes practically glowing with greed by the time they finally looked up. I'd already left the law firm. The Carter family didn't care where I'd gone. The whole family hurried off, straight to the corporate registration office, planning to use the agreement to transfer the shares immediately. After checking the system, the clerk said, I'm sorry, there are no shares currently registered under Mr. Ethan Carter's name, so this transfer agreement cannot take effect. Everyone's heart sank. Mr. Carter immediately panicked. Ethan owns 30% of Carter Group. Is there something wrong with your system? The clerk smiled politely. Please wait a moment. I'll check again. A short while later, the clerk said, I found Mr. Carter's name. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Excitement returned to their faces. Ding. But before they could celebrate, the clerk continued, I found his name in the share transfer records. Mr. Ethan Carter did appear there. He previously owned 30% of Carter Group, but at 8 o'clock this morning, that entire 30% stake was transferred to someone else. Mr. Carter currently owns 0 shares, so the share transfer agreement you brought is invalid. The Carter family looked as though they'd been struck by lightning. Their eyes widened in disbelief. What did you say? Ethan already transferred his shares? Who did he transfer them to? The clerk replied, Vivian Blake. Mr. Carter's vision went dark. His body swayed violently. Luckily, Ryan caught him in time. Otherwise, he would have collapsed to the floor. That bastard Ethan? He actually sold the shares, and he sold them to our biggest competitor. Mr. Carter trembled with rage, his chest heaving violently, as though he could barely breathe. Everyone else was just as furious. Not only had I sold the shares beforehand, I'd also tricked 300 million out of them. The smiles that had vanished from the Carter family's faces had somehow doubled on mine. At that very moment, I was happily shopping at a luxury mall. When I left the Carter family, I'd only taken my documents. I hadn't brought anything else with me. I walked into a luxury menswear store, and without blinking, picked out 30 outfits and suits. Then, I moved on to shoes and bags. After paying for everything, I had each store arrange delivery, straight to the address Vivian had given me. By the time I finished shopping, I'd spent nearly $10 million. I didn't hold back at all, spending money I'd gotten without lifting a finger. As I walked out of the mall, I ran straight into the Carter family. After leaving the corporate registration office, they'd been searching everywhere for me, and finally managed to track me down. Ethan, you're despicable. You sold the shares and deliberately tricked us. Go get those shares back right now. Hannah pointed at me and cursed furiously. I put on an innocent expression. You only told me to sign the transfer agreement. You never asked whether I still owned the shares. So how exactly did I trick you? As for the money you gave me, consider it compensation for the 20 years you failed to raise me. I didn't scam you out of anything. Mr. Carter roared. You ungrateful bastard. You actually dared to play me? I'll beat you to death today. Ryan hurriedly grabbed him and whispered, Dad, don't do anything here. There are people around. If someone recognizes us, it'll damage the Carter family's reputation. Let's take him home first and deal with him there. Mr. Carter forced down his rage, then turned to his 3 daughters. Tie that bastard up and put him in the car. My 3 sisters surrounded me with dark expressions, ready to drag me away. But just as they were about to make a move, 2 bodyguards appeared seemingly out of nowhere and stepped in front of me in the blink of an eye. Who are you? Get out of the way. This has nothing to do with you. I suggest you mind your own business. Hannah snapped impatiently. One bodyguard replied, Ms. Blake sent us to protect Mr. Carter. Ms. Blake gave us clear orders. If anyone tries to hurt Mr. Carter, we are to protect him at all costs, even if someone dies in the process. Hannah's expression changed. Ms. Blake? In Harbor City, there was only one person who could simply be called Ms. Blake, Vivian Blake. The Carter family was furious beyond belief, but none of them dared make a move. Ethan, we're family. Come home with us now, Hannah said in a low voice. Oh! Smack. I slapped her across the face. I told you last night. If you see me outside, don't act like you know me. You're bad luck. Want another slap? Hannah immediately shut her mouth. I scoffed and kicked her aside, then walked forward with my head held high. As I approached, the rest of the Carter family actually stepped aside on their own, afraid I'd suddenly lose it and attack everyone around me. They, Vivian's bodyguards, drove me themselves to the villa she'd loaned me. The things I'd bought happened to arrive at the same time. The bodyguards and delivery workers carried everything into the villa for me. The Carter family probably thought I'd be suffering after leaving them, but in reality, I was living far better than I ever had in their house. The place I'd lived before returning to the Carter family had been about as luxurious as Vivian's villa. I just hadn't expected Vivian to lend me a place this extravagant. I'd assumed she'd simply find some remote, bare-bones house for me to stay in. Apparently, I'd underestimated her generosity. I went up to the master bedroom on the 3rd floor and started organizing my clothes. Before I could finish, my phone rang. I glanced at the screen. It was my worthless dad calling. I blocked him without a second thought. A moment later, my phone rang again. This time, it was Mrs. Carter. Blocked. One call after another came in, and I blocked every single number. Finally, it was that idiot Hannah. I answered, You moron. If you dare bother me again, I'll beat the hell out of you. Then I hung up before she could even respond, and blocked her too. Hannah was so furious she burst into tears. Why did he insult me before blocking me? He's gone too far. He's treating me differently from everyone else. The rest of the Carter family looked equally furious. Claire was beside herself with rage. What did our family ever do to deserve this? How did we end up with a disaster like Ethan? Chloe turned to their parents. Dad, Mom, Ethan sold 30% of our company to our biggest competitor. We can't just let this go. Mr. Carter frowned. He refuses to come home. And now he has Vivian Blake's people protecting him. What exactly are we supposed to do? Ryan bit his lip, then turned toward Claire. Claire, Isn't Ethan signed under your entertainment company? As his boss, you can make him follow your instructions. Claire replied, I can only control his work assignments. Hannah suddenly thought of something. Her eyes lit up. That's enough. We may not be able to get the shares back now, but we can use another method to make him pay. Everyone turned to look at Hannah. Isn't Ryan going to participate in a wilderness survival reality show? Claire, put Ethan on the show too. Make him sign a contract. Have him use his stupidity and cruelty to make Ryan look better. That way, we can use public opinion to boost Ryan's popularity and let the audience see just how vicious Ethan really is. When the whole internet turns on him, we'll finally get some satisfaction. Claire nodded. That could work. One of the other male guests on the show is also signed to my company. I'll just replace him with Ethan. The family discussed it for a while, and once the plan was settled, Claire borrowed a servant's phone and called me. My cool voice came through the phone. It's Claire. Don't hang up yet. I need to talk to you about work. That reminded me. I had both signed with Claire's entertainment company under 5-year contracts. Only 1 year had passed, so there were still 4 years left. The contract stated that if I terminated it early, I'd owe the company $100 million for every remaining year, which meant if I wanted out now, I'd have to pay Claire $400 million. I answered, I should have demanded more money earlier. I asked impatiently, fine, what job are you giving me? What is it? Claire replied, next week. Ryan is joining a wilderness survival show. I'm putting you on it too. Once filming starts, your job is to deliberately bully and target Ryan. Create controversy around him, and make him look better by comparison. I laughed mockingly. I'll do the show, but if you expect me to make Ryan look good, forget it. That wasn't in the contract I signed. Claire gritted her teeth. Aren't you afraid I'll blacklist you? I said indifferently. Go ahead. I'm not short on money anymore. Even if you blacklist me, I won't have to worry about food or rent. Claire was practically shaking with rage. I thought for a moment. If you want me to agree, I can. But I have one condition. Claire asked suspiciously. What condition? Once this show is over, you terminate my contract. And I don't pay a cent in penalties. Claire didn't agree immediately. I gave a mocking laugh. If I do exactly what you're asking on this show, the entire internet will probably tear me apart afterward. I won't have any commercial value left. Even if I stay with your company, you won't make any money off me. So keeping me around won't benefit you at all. Claire thought about it for a moment and realized I had a point. Fine, I agree. Take my number off your block list. I'll send you the details later. I want the agreement signed first. Put it in writing that as soon as the show ends, my contract with your company is terminated immediately. Claire gritted her teeth, but agreed. 3 days later, Claire sent over the 2 contracts we'd agreed on. The first required me to deliberately humiliate Ryan during the show, using my sharp tongue and vicious behavior, to make Ryan look like a kind, fragile innocent. The second was the termination agreement I'd requested. I checked both carefully and found no problems. Claire went to a law firm and had the contracts notarized. After I returned home, I started searching for information about the show. I discovered this was the very first episode of a brand new program, and it was about to begin filming other than stating that it would be live streamed, and that it was a wilderness survival reality show. Along with the director's information, there wasn't much else available, so I could only search online for general wilderness survival information. Then I bought a large amount of gear that might be useful in the wild. I figured I'd bring it first, and if the director didn't allow it, I'd just hand it over to the production team. But if we were expected to prepare everything ourselves, and I showed up unprepared, I'd be the one suffering out there. Besides preparing supplies, I also increased my physical training. Before I knew it, filming day arrived. I grabbed my enormous suitcase and had the bodyguards drive me to the meeting point. When I arrived, I discovered every other guest was already there. They looked like they'd been waiting for quite a while. I cursed Claire under my breath. Claire had told me we were supposed to meet here at 10 in the morning. It was only 9:30, yet everyone else had already arrived. That damn woman. The show hadn't even started, and she was already setting me up. I climbed out of the car dragging a 50-inch suitcase and walked toward the group. I wore a green outdoor sun hat. Its long brim covered everything except my eyes. As for my clothes, I wore a dark green waterproof jacket and black outdoor pants. The 3 female guests and 2 male guests were already there. All of them were dressed stylishly and looked camera-ready. Ryan was even wearing a long white suit, with a thick layer of foundation covering his face. The other male guest, Kevin Cole, was a member of a boy band. He wasn't dressed quite as ridiculously as Ryan, but he was still wearing a pink suit. The 3 female guests were award-winning actress Sophia Reed, top celebrity Olivia Woods, and my idiot third sister, Hannah Carter. I frowned. Why the hell was Hannah here too? Back then, Hannah had entered the entertainment industry, just so she could stay close to Ryan and take care of him. I hadn't expected her to follow him even onto a reality show. When it came to Ryan, she really was an excellent sister. Who's that? Why are they covered up like that? I can't even see their face. Kevin looked me up and down and asked curiously. I pulled down the face covering attached to my hat, revealing my face. The live stream had already started. The moment I stepped into camera range and appeared on the live stream, the comments began flying across the screen. I thought the last guest to arrive would be some A-list celebrity. But it's actually Ethan Carter. Every single person here is more famous than he is. And he actually made all of them wait for him? Does he have no shame? Someone at his level actually dared show up late and act like a diva. Where does he get the nerve? Disgusting. Showing up this late is bad enough, but he even dressed like this on purpose. Is he trying to mock the other guests for not dressing professionally? What a calculating little snake. 3 months ago, Ethan tried to hurt Ryan and ended up getting injured himself. He'd better behave this time, or he'll suffer the consequences again. I dragged my suitcase over to the other guests. Ryan looked at me with a warm smile and spoke gently. Ethan, you finally made it. We've been waiting for you for a long time. Let's leave everything from the past behind us. I hope we can get along during the show. I walked straight up to Ryan and kicked him aside. Ryan was wearing height-boosting shoes, so he immediately lost his balance and fell to the ground. This spot is pretty good. It blocks the sun. I want to stand here. You don't mind moving, right? I turned toward Ryan and laughed mockingly. Following the contract, the second filming starts. You're really dedicated. Hannah immediately helped Ryan back to his feet, then glared at me furiously. Ethan, you've gone too far. Ryan grabbed Hannah's arm and shook his head at her, putting on a long-suffering expression. Don't blame Ethan. He didn't do it on purpose. I just lost my balance. The live stream comments exploded again. Holy crap. Ethan actually kicked Ryan right in front of everyone. That's way too much. Isn't that assault? Is the production team seriously not going to do anything? Ryan is way too kind. Ethan is clearly targeting him, and Ryan is still defending him. The other guests at the scene quietly moved farther away from me, afraid I might kick them next. Once the director saw that everyone had arrived, he picked up a megaphone. Now that all 6 of you are here, I'll explain the rules. On our wilderness survival show, all 6 guests will be required to spend 7 days and 7 nights in a primeval forest. For these 7 days, you can form teams and help each other. But once you enter the forest, the production team will provide no assistance, and we won't give you any food. You'll have to rely on yourselves to survive in the forest for 7 days. You also won't be allowed to bring all your luggage. We'll give each of you 1 hiking backpack. You can choose whatever items you want to bring, but you can only take what fits inside that 1 backpack. No electronic devices or communication tools are allowed. Other than that, you can bring whatever you want. Also, our program will be live streamed 24 hours a day, online. So remember, no matter when, and no matter what unexpected situation happens, you need to watch your behavior. People will be watching everything you do at all times. Keep that in mind. All right, let's hand out the backpacks. Everyone can start packing now. I took the hiking backpack from a staff member, then opened my suitcase and started packing. Once I'd packed everything I needed, I strapped a folding tent to the side of the backpack. I listed it, around 30 pounds, no problem. I'd also brought compressed biscuits in, but since the rules required us to find our own food in the wilderness, I left them behind. I was the first one ready. The other 5 were still packing. Ryan's entire suitcase was filled with stylish clothes. Suits, shoes, hats, plus a pile of skincare products and makeup, and even height-increasing insoles. His own hiking backpack couldn't fit everything. He looked pitifully at Hannah. "Hannah, my stuff won't fit. Can you carry some of it for me?" Hannah agreed immediately. "Of course. Put it all in my bag. I don't have much to bring anyway." So Ryan stuffed everything he wanted to take into Hannah's backpack. The director couldn't help reminding them, "We're really going into an undeveloped primeval forest. I strongly recommend long sleeves and long pants, and some basic wilderness survival tools." Before filming began, he'd already sent every guest a recommended packing list. Yet somehow, some people still prepared nothing useful, and only brought piles of fashionable clothes and suits. Did they think this was a runway show? The director gave them another well-meaning reminder, but Ryan and Hannah didn't take it seriously at all. They both figured the production crew would be following them the entire time, so there was no way the crew would actually let a guest die. If they needed anything, they could just act cute and borrow it from the staff. Ryan would rather bring more good-looking outfits, so he could always look perfect on camera and attract more viewers. Once everyone finished packing, the guests were split into pairs and got into the vehicles arranged by the production team. Ryan and Hannah took one car. Olivia Woods and Kevin Cole took another. That left Sophia Reed and me in the last car. Sophia acted like I didn't exist. The moment she got in, she closed her eyes and pretended to sleep. I had no interest in talking to her either, so I used the last bit of time on my phone, reviewing wilderness survival knowledge and techniques. The car drove for 3 hours. Before stopping by a riverbank, a medium-sized passenger boat was waiting there. Everyone got out. The director raised his megaphone. "All right, we're switching to the boat now and heading toward the filming location. Before boarding, please hand over your phones and any other electronic communication devices to your managers or assistants. Managers and assistants will not be allowed to accompany you to the filming site. I'd come alone, without a manager or assistant, so I took out my phone and handed it to the director. My manager and assistant aren't here. Could you keep my phone safe for me?" The director accepted it, then took out a metal box right in front of me and placed my phone inside. He had a staff member bring over welding equipment and welded the box shut on the spot. The director smiled at us. "This is so everyone can feel secure. Once the box is welded shut, nobody can open it. It protects your privacy, and it also protects the production team. Otherwise, if, during these 7 days, any private information were somehow leaked and someone accused us of looking through your phones, we'd never be able to prove otherwise." I gave the director a thumbs up. When Hannah saw that, she also chose to hand her phone to the director. "Director, seal mine too." Ryan handed over his phone as well. "Just weld mine together with my sister's. That'll save you a box." The other 3 guests also decided to hand their phones to the director. Apparently, they didn't completely trust their own managers and assistants either. Not when it came to certain things. Some secrets couldn't even be shared with family, much less outsiders like managers and assistants. They were worried their managers or assistants might take the opportunity to snoop through their phones, following their requests. The director sealed each phone inside a separate metal box and labeled each one with the owner's name. Then the 6 guests boarded the boat together with the director and production staff. The boat traveled along the river for 5 hours until it entered deep into the primeval forest region. The vegetation on both sides towered 3 or 4 stories high, giving the whole place an eerie, oppressive atmosphere. Once the boat reached shore, everyone got off and temporarily gathered on a relatively flat patch of grass. The guests looked around at the surroundings and immediately frowned. "Director, this place is awful. The grass is taller than I am. Are we seriously supposed to stay somewhere like this for 7 days?" Olivia couldn't help complaining, her disgust written all over her face. Kevin looked completely shocked. "I thought wilderness survival was just a gimmick. I didn't realize you were actually serious. This place is insanely remote. It looks completely untouched, like nobody's been here in hundreds of years." Ryan and Hannah frowned too. Sophia didn't say anything, but her expression clearly wasn't pleased either. She obviously hated the filming environment as well. I was the only one who remained calm. Ever since we boarded the boat, I'd been carefully studying our surroundings and thinking through how I was going to survive in this forest. The director laughed. Before any of you signed your contracts, I explained the rules very clearly. The contract specifically states that you'll spend 7 days surviving in an undeveloped primeval forest. For 7 full days. I wasn't joking. That said, none of you have real wilderness survival experience. So, to lower the difficulty, the production team sent people into the forest beforehand and released some domesticated chickens and ducks, as well as goats and other livestock. You can catch them for food. Good luck. Ryan asked innocently, "They're alive? Not already prepared?" The director replied, "Of course they're alive. In this weather, if we left slaughtered meat out, it would spoil in less than half a day." Ryan looked horrified. "If they're alive, doesn't that mean we'd have to kill them ourselves?" Oh my God, that's so cruel. Those little animals are adorable. How could anyone bring themselves to kill them? I faithfully carried out my contractual duty and immediately went after him. "Give me a break. Your backpack is made of crocodile leather. Why don't you think that's cruel?" Ryan's face alternated between pale and red. He glared at me angrily. Sure, I'd signed a contract requiring me to deliberately target him, so he could generate sympathy and attention online. But couldn't I at least do it in a friendlier way? How was he supposed to respond to something like that? Ryan flushed and hurried to explain. "This bag is made from synthetic leather. It's not real crocodile skin." I laughed mockingly. "Really?" I remember this brand's bags, Isabella, being officially advertised as made entirely from genuine leather. But now you're saying yours is synthetic? So is the brand guilty of false advertising. Ryan immediately panicked. "No, that's not," I cut him off, and turned toward the camera. "Anyone from that brand watching the live stream? You might want to update your advertising. If not, every bag is actually made from genuine leather. Then stop misleading consumers with false claims." Ryan's eyes turned red with panic. His fists clenched tightly. That bag belonged to an internationally famous luxury brand. If he offended a company like that, his chances of ever landing a high-end endorsement would basically be over. And he was the brand's official ambassador, which meant he had a responsibility to protect its reputation. If anything he said or did damaged the brand's image or caused financial losses, he could be held liable for compensation. The livestream comments started flying again. How did I never notice Ryan was this fake before? What a hypocrite. He's literally the spokesperson for that genuine leather brand. And we're supposed to believe he didn't know the bag was real crocodile leather? What a joke. He's carrying a crocodile skin bag, while calling it cruel to kill livestock for food. Ethan is obviously targeting Ryan on purpose. Don't let Ethan manipulate the narrative. The livestream chat erupted into chaos. Some neutral viewers mocked Ryan for being a hypocrite, while his fans rushed to defend him. At the scene, Hannah snapped at me. "Ethan, can you stop being so vicious? Why are you always targeting Ryan? What did he ever do to make you hate him this much?" I sneered. "Shut up. Stop pretending you don't know. You know exactly why I hate him." Hannah's face turned livid with anger. Ryan grabbed her arm and bit his lip. "Hannah, forget it. Ethan, he's probably just had a rough time lately. If yelling at me makes him feel better, then let him, as long as he feels better afterward." "Then I don't mind taking it." Hannah sighed. "You're just too kind. Way too kind. If only he had even 1/10 of your kindness." I made a gagging expression and looked at him in disgust. "Stop making me sick. I don't need his fake kindness. If I ever become like him one day, I'll deal with myself first." Ryan was so furious he nearly choked. He glared at me viciously. Hannah pointed at me, stammering, you, but couldn't form a complete sentence. My cold gaze dropped to her finger. "Point at me like that again, and I'll break your finger." Hannah clearly sensed the threat in my voice, and immediately pulled her hand back in fear. She didn't dare point at me again. The comments exploded. "Ethan is way too vicious. He's this arrogant and disrespectful even with cameras rolling. If there weren't cameras filming him, wouldn't he just start hitting people? How dare he treat Hannah Carter like that? Ethan Carter needs to be blacklisted." The live stream was in total chaos, and the atmosphere at the scene had turned awkward. The director finally stepped in. "All right, that's enough. You're all going to be living together, so try to get along. It's getting late. The sun has already started. setting, so you need to hurry and prepare somewhere to sleep and something for dinner. Kevin asked innocently. Can't we sleep on the boat? The director replied, no. Until filming is over, no guest is allowed back on the boat. Everyone except me looked completely miserable. If they couldn't rest on the boat, they were really going to sleep out here in the wilderness tonight. How were they supposed to sleep like that? But the live stream was still running, so none of them wanted to complain too much. Ryan spoke gently. Since the director has already given us our task, let's pull ourselves together and get started. Otherwise, not only will we go hungry tonight, we'll also have nowhere to sleep. Everyone nodded. Ryan suggested, how about this? Let's work together as a team. None of us has wilderness survival experience. If we split up, we'll move too slowly, and most of us won't even know what to do. Working together will be much more efficient. Hannah was the first to raise her hand in support. I support Ryan's idea. What does everyone else think? Kevin and Olivia also raised their hands in agreement. Sophia frowned. I'm fine with teaming up, but I refuse to be on Ethan's team. Olivia, afraid she might get stuck with me, quickly added, I won't team up with him either. Ethan had scandals all over his name. Anyone who got too close to him risked getting dragged down too, and everyone had seen him attack Ryan and Hannah, right in front of them. None of them wanted to become his next target. Hannah said, I'm teaming up with Ryan no matter what. The comments burst into laughter. Karma came fast. Ethan brought this on himself. Now, nobody wants to team up with him. Let's see what he does. He deserves it for being so vicious. He bullied Ryan and insulted Hannah in public. Now, nobody wants anything to do with him. Seeing that nobody wanted to team up with me, Ryan was secretly thrilled, but on the surface, he put on a generous expression and spoke kindly to me. Ethan, why don't you join my team? We can split into two groups. One group can find somewhere for us to sleep, and the other can look for food. Ethan, you can come with me. And Hannah, and we'll look for a place to spend the night. Kevin, Olivia, and Sophia can search for food. How does that sound? The other three said they had no objections. The comments immediately started gushing. Ryan is way too kind. Ethan literally kicked him and kept targeting him. Yet Ryan is still generous enough to team up with him. Where do you find someone this kind? Didn't Ethan act like he hated our precious Ryan? Then don't team up with him if you've got the guts. I actually gave those viewers exactly what they wanted. I glanced at Ryan with disgust. Stay away from me. I don't need 5 useless people slowing me down. I'll be much better off alone. While everyone was packing earlier, I'd already looked over what each of them brought. All 5 of their supplies combined still weren't as complete as mine, and I had no intention of sharing my tools with them. Ethan, you really don't know what's good for you. Ryan is willing to put the past aside and help you. And you actually call us dead weight? Fine. I hope you can keep acting this tough. Don't come begging us for help later. Hannah cursed furiously. I sneered. I'll give those exact words back to you. Don't come begging me for help later. Hannah snapped. Don't worry. I'd rather die than beg you for anything. Ryan bit his lip in grievance, his eyes turning slightly red. Ethan, can you stop being stubborn? It's dangerous to go alone. I cut him off coldly. Shut up. As long as you stay away from me, I'll be perfectly safe. Ryan frowned. Since you're determined to go alone, I won't stop you. Kevin seemed to feel a little sorry for me, and cautiously said, Ethan, why don't you come with me and look for food? If you're by yourself, you'll have to prepare dinner and find somewhere to sleep. You probably won't have enough time. At least we'd be able to watch each other's backs. Olivia and Sophia frowned, but neither of them stopped him. They might dislike me, but this was still being filmed. They couldn't behave as recklessly as I did and expose their selfish and cruel sides to the public. I glanced at Kevin. Aren't you afraid I'll curse you out the way I did Ryan? Kevin scratched his head. Could you just not curse me out? Before I could answer, Hannah snapped viciously. No one is teaming up with him, and nobody is helping him tonight. He thinks he's so capable. So let's see how he survives tonight. Kevin looked awkward. He wanted to help me, but Hannah's status in the entertainment industry made him too afraid to oppose her. I laughed, then casually slung my backpack over my shoulders and headed into the forest first. The others started moving too. Once I entered the forest, I quickly noticed that the undergrowth had been lightly cleared beforehand. The production team had shown some mercy after all. After walking for a while, I spotted a rabbit ahead, hopping through the brush. I immediately took off after it. But in the blink of an eye, the rabbit had already bounded more than 30 feet away. I bent down and picked up a small stone, then flicked it lightly with my fingers. The stone shot forward and struck the rabbit squarely in the head. It dropped dead instantly. Holy crap, are you some kind of martial arts master? The camera woman following me stared in shock. I raised an eyebrow. Lucky shot. One rabbit was enough food for me alone. So I picked it up and headed back. I reached the riverbank, pulled a folding knife from my backpack, and started cleaning the rabbit. Just then, Ryan happened to walk past and saw the bloody scene. He couldn't help shouting, "Ethan, you're so cruel, and you're way too skilled at this. You must kill small animals all the time." I grabbed the organs I just removed and threw them straight at Ryan. Ryan let out a shrill scream, nearly fainting from rage. You actually threw something that disgusting at me. How could he do that? Ethan, you've gone too far. Ryan's eyes turned red as he stomped his foot, but all he could do was run off in tears to change his clothes. The livestream comments exploded. Holy crap. Ethan is way too vicious. He actually threw animal organs at Ryan. That's disgusting. Ryan seriously has the patience of a saint. If someone threw organs at me, I'd break their hand. Am I the only one who thinks Ryan kind of asked for it? Ethan has been targeting him from the beginning. And Ryan keeps walking right up to him anyway. Isn't he just bringing it on himself? What did Ryan say that was wrong? Ethan killed that rabbit like it was nothing. He must do this kind of thing all the time. I could totally believe he'd abuse animals. I worked quickly and soon finished cleaning the rabbit, removing the organs and skin. Then I went into the forest and gathered some dry branches and built a fire by the river. Once the wood had burned down into charcoal, I used the coals to roast the meat. The food searching group came back too. All three of them looked completely exhausted, but they hadn't caught a single thing. Kevin was holding a handful of wild greens and didn't even know if they were edible. That smells amazing. Kevin caught the rich aroma and couldn't help taking a deep breath when he saw me already roasting meat. His face filled with shock. Ethan, you actually found food? What did you catch? You caught it by yourself? How were you so fast? Olivia scoffed. He probably just got lucky and found some half-dead animal lying around. Kevin rubbed the back of his neck, thinking Olivia's explanation made sense. We didn't catch anything. What are we supposed to eat tonight? I don't even know whether these wild greens are safe. Sophia smelled the tempting aroma and couldn't help swallowing. She glanced at the darkening sky and said, "Before it gets completely dark, let's search again." So the three of them went back into the forest. It wasn't that they couldn't find the livestock released by the production team. Within 10 minutes, they saw at least 10 chickens. Some of them had even had their legs deliberately injured by the crew, so they couldn't run very fast. Yet the three of them still couldn't catch one. Half an hour later, the sky had grown dark, and visibility inside the forest was even worse, so they came back out again, still empty-handed. By then, I'd already finished roasting the rabbit and started eating. The meat was golden and crispy, and looked incredibly appetizing. Everyone who saw it instinctively swallowed, their stomachs growling loudly. The comments started flying. Who knew Ethan could actually cook? That rabbit looks crispy outside and tender inside. It looks insanely good. That's some seriously good roasted rabbit. It looks more appetizing than half the food influencers I watch. Now I'm hungry too. Kevin tore his gaze away and looked at the director. Director, what are you guys eating? He was clearly thinking that once the director and staff started eating, they could shamelessly ask for a little food. The director smiled and reached into his pocket, pulling out a fist-sized red fruit. We sent people out to look for food too, and found a fruit tree. But there isn't much, so you'll have to figure things out yourselves. Kevin looked disappointed. Meanwhile, the director and staff, double, had already started happily eating the strange red fruit. But less than 10 minutes later, everyone who had eaten the fruit suddenly collapsed, convulsing violently, blood pouring from their mouths. Something's wrong. The fruit is poisonous. 5 or 6 staff members hadn't eaten any, and rushed over to check on the others. But there was nothing they could do. The poisoned staff convulsed for several minutes, then suddenly went completely still, lying motionless on the ground. Someone cautiously checked one person's breathing, then shouted in terror, "I don't think they're breathing." Quick, Get them to a doctor. The staff members who hadn't eaten the fruit hurriedly carried the unconscious people back onto the boat. Then the boat started up and sped away from the forest. The guests were stunned. The entire disaster had happened within minutes, and suddenly the entire production team was gone, leaving behind a handful of celebrities who could barely take care of themselves in the middle of nowhere. Director, come back and take us with you. You can't just leave us here. What are we supposed to do? Kevin ran to the riverbank and shouted after the boat, but everything aboard was complete chaos, and nobody even noticed him, though they could only watch helplessly as the boat disappeared. Kevin looked like he was about to cry. We've been abandoned here. What are we supposed to do now? Sophia was a little older than the others and said calmly, Don't panic yet. So many staff members collapsed. They must be overwhelmed right now. It's understandable that they temporarily forgot about us. Once they calm down, they'll definitely remember we're still here. For now, we just need to wait patiently. Kevin thought she made sense and calmed down a little. At that moment, Ryan and Hannah also came out of the forest. Ryan walked ahead empty-handed, while Hannah followed behind carrying an armful of dry grass. Ryan said apologetically, Sorry everyone, we couldn't find anywhere suitable to sleep tonight. But this clearing seems pretty good, so tonight we can just sleep here on the ground. My sister and I gathered some dry grass, so we can make bedding for everyone. Where's the director? Where are the camera crews? Where's all the staff? Why is everyone gone? Where did they go? Ryan suddenly realized that only the guests remained, and every member of the production team had disappeared. Confusion appeared on his face. Kevin looked like he wanted to cry as he explained. Just now, the director and most of the staff got poisoned after eating some wild fruit. The ones who didn't eat any took them away on the boat to get medical treatment. Look at the blood on the ground. That's what they were coughing up. It hasn't even dried yet. Ryan looked down at the huge patch of bright red blood on the ground and jumped in fright. He frowned. All the staff left? Not even one person stayed? Does that mean we're not filming anymore? Olivia said before they left, someone checked the breathing of the people who collapsed and said they weren't breathing anymore. Something this serious happened. And even the director went down. There's obviously no way filming can continue. Once the staff contacts the investors, they'll probably send another production team over. Once Ryan realized there were no cameras filming him anymore, the gentleness vanished from his face, replaced by obvious irritation. From the very second he'd boarded the boat, he'd hated this place, especially after entering the forest. He was wearing a suit, and the weeds kept scraping painfully against his calves, while insects constantly flew at him and bit him. His irritation had reached its limit, but because the cameras had been following him, he had to maintain his image as a strong, innocent sweetheart. So he kept pretending none of it bothered him, acting brave and unafraid of hardship. Come to think of it, when had the cameramen following him and Hannah disappeared? They had probably been too exhausted to notice all the commotion outside, and only ran back when they heard what happened. Ryan suddenly caught a delicious smell and looked toward where I was sitting, watching me eat with obvious enjoyment. His stomach growled loudly, and his mouth began watering uncontrollably. He usually dieted constantly to stay thin, and often skipped dinner entirely. Normally, he could tolerate it, but today, maybe because he was exhausted, or maybe it was the smell of the roasted rabbit in my hands, the rich aroma drifting through the air, had completely awakened his appetite. At that moment, he was absolutely starving and desperately wanted something to eat. Ryan forced himself to look away, then turned toward Kevin and the others. Did you find any food? Kevin raised the wild greens in his hand. This is all we found. Ryan's expression darkened. My sister and I worked our asses off, trying to make sure everyone had somewhere decent to sleep tonight. And the three of you only found a handful of wild greens. Even pigs wouldn't eat that. When my sister and I were gathering dry grass, we saw several chickens with injured legs. And the three of you couldn't even catch a crippled chicken? Useless. Kevin looked annoyed. We worked hard too, but those chickens and rabbits were fast. It's normal that we couldn't catch them. And you have the nerve to criticize us. Didn't you two only bring back a pile of weeds? That's not even enough bedding for one person. How are all of us supposed to sleep tonight? Ryan looked at him. Are you blaming me? Kevin flinched under his stare and took a step back. No, I'm not blaming you. I was just saying. He knew how powerful Ryan's sister was in the entertainment industry, so he didn't dare offend Ryan. Otherwise, his career could easily be ruined afterward. So even though he was unhappy, he could only swallow it. Ryan gave a contemptuous scoff. Hannah said, "Since you think this dry grass is so useless, then tonight, you can figure out your own sleeping arrangements." Kevin bit his lip and didn't dare say anything. Ryan looked into the distance, toward me, still happily eating my roasted rabbit, and couldn't help swallowing again. He looked at Hannah and said pitifully, "Hannah, I've been walking around the forest all afternoon. I'm starving." Hannah glanced at me in the distance, eating alone, and dissatisfaction flashed in her eyes. She said in a low voice, "Wait here. I'll go get you some food." She started walking toward me. Ryan followed behind her. The others came along too, hoping they might get something to eat. Give half the rabbit meat to Ryan. Hannah stopped in front of me and ordered arrogantly. I looked up at her. "Get lost." Ryan frowned. "Ethan, how can you speak to Hannah like that?" "Get lost too." Ryan bit his lip, looking hurt. "Ethan, you're going too far. We came over because we care about you and wanted to make peace. How can you treat us like this? The production crew is gone now, and we're the only people left out here without us looking out for you. How are you going to survive tonight alone?" I sneered. "I have everything I need. I can spend the night however I want. The people who should be worrying about tonight are you, not me." Ryan's face alternated between pale and red. Hannah looked even angrier. She snapped, "Ethan, you're getting more outrageous by the day. Ryan is worried about you, and instead of appreciating it, you mock him? When did you become this bitter and nasty? Can't you learn something from Ryan? If you were even 1/10 as sensible as he is, we wouldn't dislike you so much," I sneered. "Who the hell wants you to like me?" Hannah took a deep breath and forced down her anger. "I'll assume you're just throwing a tantrum. Apologize properly to Ryan right now, and promise you'll change from now on. When we get back, I'll put in a good word for you with Dad and Mom, and let you return to the Carter family." I looked at her as if she were an idiot. I was seriously starting to worry about Hannah's intelligence. Who the hell wants to go back to your family? Not a single Carter has a functioning brain. I'm afraid staying too close to you might lower my IQ. I wouldn't go back even if you begged me. Both Hannah and Ryan turned livid. They glared at me furiously. Ryan was angry and starving, and now that no cameras seemed to be filming, he couldn't be bothered pretending anymore. He gritted his teeth. "Hannah, stop wasting your breath on him. Just teach him a lesson. He keeps targeting me. Even sold the family shares behind our backs for money. And he's hit and cursed all of us. We should have dealt with him a long time ago." I sneered. "You're really good at twisting the truth. The shares I sold belonged to me. If they weren't mine, how could I possibly have sold them? Before you accuse me of something again, try using that half-developed brain of yours." Ryan nearly coughed up blood from anger. He ignored what I said and turned toward the other three. "Ethan insulted me and keeps targeting me. If you take my side and help me teach him a lesson, once we get back, I'll have my sister give all of you resources, at least one major film or television project each." All three of them were tempted. Competition in the entertainment industry was fierce. Even an award-winning actress like Sophia barely came across truly good scripts, so the offer was genuinely tempting. But they still had concerns. Kevin said, "If all of us gang up on him, wouldn't it look bad if people found out?" Ryan smiled. "The production team is gone, and nobody is watching. If we don't say anything, who would ever know? If he tries to expose us afterward, we just deny it and say he was the one targeting me. Who do you think the public would believe? Several celebrities with good reputations, or one guy who's buried under scandals." After hearing that, the three of them relaxed and said together, "Fine, we'll follow your lead. Tell us what you want us to do." They weren't surprised at all by the difference between Ryan on camera and Ryan in private. Not even slightly. Long before this, they had already heard rumors that Ryan was nowhere near as kind and gentle off camera as he pretended to be. Plenty of celebrities acted one way in public and completely differently in private. They were already used to it. Even they themselves presented carefully crafted personalities on camera, chosen by their companies. Ryan curled his lips into a smile and pointed at me maliciously. Go, take the roasted meat from him. And his backpack, too. I saw him bring a tent and an inflatable mattress. Then we'll have somewhere to sleep tonight. After hearing Ryan's order, the three of them looked at me grimly and approached with obvious hostility. What they didn't know was that the forest had been fitted with a large number of cutting-edge hidden micro cameras. After the production team left, those hidden cameras had automatically activated, and the live stream had never stopped. The comments exploded. Holy crap, holy crap. Can someone tell me what the hell is happening? Did the director's team really get poisoned and die? Ryan is actually this arrogant in private. He's literally organizing a group to bully Ethan, and the others aren't even surprised. Does everyone in the industry already know what he's really like? Ethan deserves it. He's getting exactly what he deserves. Have you all forgotten what Ethan did before? Name. Seriously, did everyone forget? Ryan used to get bullied by Ethan all the time. Ethan was still targeting Ryan earlier today, just as the live stream chat erupted into heated arguments. The broadcast suddenly switched into split screen mode. Then, a small video call window appeared on the screen. The director's face appeared inside it, with several familiar staff members standing behind him. The comments instantly exploded. Holy crap, isn't that the director? Didn't he die from poisoning? How is he still alive? Did he come back from the dead? Amid the flood of comments, the director finally spoke. He smiled brightly. Hello, everyone watching. Good evening. The staff members who ate the wild fruit and I are perfectly fine. We were never poisoned, and nobody died. We're very sorry for worrying everyone. Forget the explanation for now. Hurry up and explain what the hell is going on. Yeah, exactly. If none of you were poisoned, why did you fake it and leave the filming site? And if you left, why is the live stream still running? The director looked at the comments and laughed. This is our brand new filming format. We're using hidden cameras for secret filming, so everyone can see the celebrity's most authentic sides. The whole wild fruit poisoning incident was something we deliberately acted out for the guests. We wanted them to believe we'd left because something serious happened, so they'd lower their guard and stop worrying about the cameras. That way, they'd reveal their true selves. The comments exploded. 666, director, you really know how to play. Amazing is the only word I can think of. I have to admit, this format is kind of unethical, but I love watching it. Still, you can probably only use this trick once, right? The director laughed. Hey, how can you call me unethical? I warned every guest beforehand that hidden filming might happen during production and told them to watch their behavior at all times. I even wrote it into the contract. See? It's right here. The director held up a contract and pointed to one of the clauses for the audience. The comments immediately responded. The director really covered every base, so the guests can't sue him afterward. This kind of hidden camera format has never been done before. The guests never expected actual hidden cameras. So now their real personalities are coming out, the director said. All right, everyone, keep watching. Then he ended the video connection, and the live stream returned to the original footage. None of the guests at the scene knew about the hidden cameras. At Ryan's urging, Kevin, Olivia, and Sophia prepared to make a move to take the half-eaten rabbit from me. Along with my hiking backpack, my expression remained calm as I looked coldly at the three of them. I have no grudge against any of you. Back off now, and I won't hurt you. Sophia said. Hand over the backpack and the roasted meat willingly, and we won't hurt you either. Olivia said. Stop being so selfish. None of us has anything to eat, and you're the only one sitting here eating by yourself. Don't you feel guilty? Kevin frowned, but still said, you should just cooperate. I laughed. Looks like you three are exactly like Ryan. And, Hannah. Fake, selfish, and completely lacking in basic morality or humanity. That one sentence insulted all five of them. Their expressions changed instantly. Ryan snapped, since he refuses to cooperate, beat him again? Teach him a lesson. Beat me? How? I looked up at Ryan, then suddenly stood and reached him in the blink of an eye. I slapped him hard across the face. Like this? Then I quickly kicked Hannah. Or like this? I spun around and punched Olivia directly in the eye. Her eye instantly turned into a black eye. Maybe like this? Then I threw another punch into Sophia's chest. sending her flying nearly 7 feet backward. After that, I kicked Kevin behind the knee, and he dropped to both knees with a thud. I asked, "So which way were you planning to beat me?" Everyone was stunned. Ryan was the first to recover. He screamed and lunged at me. "I'll kill you." I stepped aside. Ryan missed completely and crashed face first into the dirt, chipping half of one tooth. He screamed and cried in rage, then complained angrily to Hannah. "Hannah, look at Ethan. All he ever does is bully me. You have to get revenge for me." Hannah's face turned livid. "Ethan, how did you become like this? Why do you keep targeting Ryan?" I tilted my head and asked in confusion, "I'm only following the agreement you made me sign. How does that count as deliberately targeting him?" Hannah snapped, "Yes, you signed a contract to bully Ryan on the show and make him look better, but we're not filming right now, so you're not allowed to bully him. And even if you do, there should be limits. You kicked him the moment you saw him, and then threw animal organs at him. That's way too much." I shrugged. "Sorry, but to keep you from exploiting loopholes, until the director officially announces filming is over, I have to keep following the contract. Otherwise, you might accuse me of slacking off and refuse to honor our agreement." Hannah was left speechless. I couldn't be bothered with them anymore. So I turned and sat back down beside the fire. Vin said lazily, "You're no match for me. If you don't want another beating, stay away." Hannah gritted her teeth, then helped Ryan up and turned to leave. "Hannah, we're just leaving like this?" He hit me and made me chip half a tooth. "I'm not letting this go." Ryan's face was filled with resentment. Hannah said, "What else can we do? We can't beat him." Ryan clenched his teeth hard. Hannah was completely useless. She couldn't even beat her own brother. The other 3 were furious too, but none of them dared stay, so they followed behind Hannah and Ryan and left together. The comments exploded. "Holy crap, Ethan can actually fight. He just took on 5 people by himself. That combat ability is insane. What's so impressive about that, other than Ryan? None of the others really fought back. They were clearly holding back. Stop trying to create a tough guy image for him." Wait, what did Hannah mean earlier? What contract? Why does it sound like they made Ethan sign an agreement to deliberately bully Ryan during filming so Ryan could get more attention? Yeah, that's exactly what it sounded like to me. I can't believe this kind of arrangement actually exists. The entertainment industry really is something else. I sat beside the fire and finished the other half of the rabbit. By then, the sky was completely dark. I took out my tent and set it up beside the fire. Then I pulled out my inflatable mattress, inflated it, and put it inside the tent. Once everything was arranged, I took a flashlight and walked to the river. Then took off my waterproof jacket and pants. Underneath, I was wearing a workout shirt and athletic shorts, so there was nothing inappropriate about it. The livestream director had originally planned to cut away from my camera and enlarge the footage from Ryan's group, but when he saw I was wearing a workout tank top and athletic shorts underneath, he decided not to switch away immediately if I started taking anything else off. He could always cut the feed then, but I didn't. I sat beside the river and dampened a towel, then used it to wipe the sweat from my body, even out here in the open wilderness, with no one around. I still wasn't going to strip naked and get into the river. There was nowhere to hide, and that made me uncomfortable. Back in the live stream, the viewers watched me wash up by the river and completely lost their minds. The live stream's popularity hit a new peak. Holy crap, what am I looking at? Ethan actually has abs. His muscles are really defined without looking exaggerated. This is insane. Ethan, you're officially my god. Starting today, I'm your loyal fan. Ryan's group is seriously disgusting. They waited until Ethan went to wash up by the river and stole all his stuff. They're absolute trash. Where are their morals? This is disgusting. The viewers in the live stream were stunned by my physique, and a lot of people instantly became fans. But then someone suddenly noticed, in another small camera window, Ryan and the others had taken advantage of my absence and secretly stolen my tent and backpack. The viewers immediately panicked, flooding the comments with warnings. But I had no idea what was happening. Ryan and his group are way too much. How can they steal Ethan's things? When the director told them to pack, they only cared about looking good and brought nothing but clothes and makeup. They didn't bring a single useful thing. And now that they have nothing, They're stealing Ethan's supplies. Are they even human? Shameless. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. Damn it. Even someone as mild-mannered as me is angry enough to start cursing. The incident quickly shot to the top of Weibo's trending searches. That night's trending list had all 50 spots occupied by topics related to the show, mainly because the production team's stunt was so outrageous. Another huge wave of viewers flooded into the livestream. The audience count had already exploded, and it was still climbing. I finished washing up, picked up my things, and headed back. But the moment I returned, my expression darkened. My tent was gone. And not just the tent. Everything was gone. Even the campfire had been put out. My face turned ice cold. I didn't even need to guess who had done it. I couldn't help cursing. Those useless idiots can't do anything right. But they're damn good at stealing. They've really mastered that skill. The comments exploded. Ethan, keep roasting them. They really are useless. Useless thieves with sticky fingers. Ethan is being way too gentle. Please insult them with something harsher. Don't let them get away with this, Ethan. Go take your stuff back. And don't just take it back. Teach them a lesson too. Don't spoil them. I put my outer clothes back on, then grabbed my flashlight and headed toward Ryan's group. They seemed to have moved their campsite and were no longer where they'd originally planned to stay. I continued forward with a dark expression. Not far ahead, behind a patch of grass taller than a person, I spotted them. My tent was there too. Everything from my backpack had been dumped out and scattered messily across the ground. Ryan was sitting at the entrance of my tent, applying mosquito repellent all over himself, while complaining, "There are way too many mosquitoes in this forest. I've already been bitten all over. I'm never coming back to a place like this again." That bottle of mosquito repellent was mine. Kevin stared at it enviously. "Ryan, are you done with that? Can I use some too? I've gotten bitten everywhere." Ryan replied, "There's only one tiny bottle. It's barely enough for me. Figure something out yourself." Kevin bit his lip and looked at Ryan resentfully. The repellent obviously didn't belong to Ryan, yet he was trying to keep it all for himself. But because of the Carter family's influence in the entertainment industry, Kevin didn't dare oppose him, so he could only swallow his frustration. Enjoying my stuff, I stepped out from behind the tall grass and looked coldly at Ryan. Ryan jumped in fright and instinctively hid behind Hannah. Hannah frowned, then looked at me with disgust. "What are you doing here? Didn't you say you weren't teaming up with us? And told us to stay away from you? So, why are you suddenly coming to our campsite?" I sneered. "Why do you think I'm here?" Hannah said, "I'm not a mind reader. How would I know?" I mocked her. "You're really good at pretending to be stupid. You weren't this stupid when you stole my things." Hannah's face alternated between pale and red. She gritted her teeth. "Don't make it sound so ugly. We're family. We only borrowed some of your things. Stop being so petty." "Borrowed? You didn't even ask me. You just took everything. Taking something without permission is called stealing." Hannah snapped. "Why are you being so stingy? We're only borrowing your things. We'll give them back after we're done. If that still bothers you, I'll transfer money to you when we get back. Consider it payment for all this stuff. I'll pay 10 times what you paid. Happy?" I refused without hesitation. "Not for sale. Give me my things back right now." Ryan immediately hid the mosquito repellent behind his back and spread his arms protectively in front of the tent. He stared at me warily. "These things are mine now. Don't even think about taking them back," I sneered. "You won't return them? Then I'll take them myself." I kept walking forward. Ryan had already been beaten by me several times, so he developed a genuine fear of me. The second he saw me approaching, he grabbed Hannah and shouted, "Hannah, that psycho is coming again. Stop him. Don't let him get near me." Hannah was nervous too. I'd beaten her badly before as well, and just seeing me made her body ache. But in front of her precious brother, she couldn't show fear, so she forced herself to speak despite her reluctance. "You can take some of the other things back for now, but the tent and mosquito repellent, let Ryan use those tonight," I said coldly. "Not one thing stays. Everything that's mine is coming with me." Hannah's expression darkened. "Can't you show a little compassion? Ryan has been pampered since he was little. He's delicate and can't handle hardship without the tent and inflatable mattress. How is he supposed to sleep tonight?" I asked. "If I give him the tent, where am I supposed to sleep?" Hannah frowned. "You're different from Ryan. You grew up in the slums. You're used to hardship. A little more suffering won't hurt you. You can just sleep on the grass for one night. Ryan couldn't stop the corner of his mouth from curling upward. He touched his smooth skin, then said hypocritically, "Sorry, Ethan. I've always been delicate. Unlike you, you were born tough enough to endure hardship. So I guess I'll have to trouble you to suffer a little more. And make use of that resilience you developed growing up in the slums." I laughed. "Thanks. If it weren't for you two, I'd never have known what shameless people actually look like in real life." Ryan's face darkened. "Did you just call me shameless? What gives you the right?" Hannah shook her head in disappointment. "Ethan, you really have no manners. All you ever do is hit people or insult them. When are you going to grow up?" I sneered. "You have no right to lecture me." I glanced calmly at Ryan and Hannah, and my smile grew even colder. I suffered growing up, so that means I deserve to suffer forever. Don't forget, I was the one who was supposed to grow up pampered. Ryan's dad was the one with malicious intentions. He switched Ryan and me, and dumped me in the slums, forcing me to suffer. Every luxury Ryan enjoyed. Every expensive meal and comfortable life he had was stolen from me. So how does that make him naturally delicate? He and his dad are the reason I suffered outside, and almost died out there. So that means I deserved it? That I was born worthless, and should suffer my whole life? He's the one who benefited from everything. So if he's greedy and selfish enough to think that way, fine. But you're my biological sister, and you're saying the same thing. Are you mentally defective? No, you're not mentally defective. You don't have a brain at all. Every single person in the Carter family is a brainless idiot worse than a dog. What are you talking about? Hannah's voice trembled. She suddenly sounded much less confident, and there was even a hint of guilt in her expression. When you and Ryan were switched, he had just been born too. What could he possibly have known? What you suffered had nothing to do with Ryan. You shouldn't blame him. The reason we're on Ryan's side now is because ever since you came home, you've constantly caused trouble. You keep scheming against Ryan and turning the entire family upside down. Lately, you've gotten even worse. You've attacked Dad, Mom, and all of us. How are we supposed to like someone like you? I said coldly. Every beating you got, you deserved. Stop pretending you're the victims. Have you forgotten what I was like when I first came home? Seriously, did you forget? The reason my attitude toward all of you changed is because you forced me to change. I'm done wasting words on you. I just want my belongings back. Hand them over. Otherwise, I'll take them by force. Right now, I deeply regretted what I'd done on the day I first returned to the Carter family. I should have beaten all of them and left immediately. On my very first day home, every member of the Carter family took turns coming to see me, first pretending to show a little concern, then telling me not to compete with Ryan, because Ryan was the person they considered their real family. Back then, I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I believed the person at fault was Ryan's dad, and that Ryan himself had nothing to do with it. So I didn't hate Ryan. Besides, my parents and 3 sisters had lived with Ryan for so many years, so of course they were deeply attached to him. I'd never even thought about competing with Ryan. All I'd wanted was just a little bit of the family affection I'd never experienced before. I swallowed my pride and lowered myself to please them. But no matter what I did, they always assumed I was trying to steal Ryan's attention. Whenever Ryan framed me with some cheap little trick, no matter how obvious the holes in his story were, they always believed him. I should have given up on them long ago. Yet somehow, I endured it for an entire year. It wasn't until Ryan pushed me off that stage, and my own family still didn't care whether I lived or died, that I finally gave up completely. Maybe spending so much time around those brain-dead idiots had actually lowered my own IQ. Otherwise, how could I have tolerated them for so long? That had to be it. Hannah suddenly remembered what I was like when I first came home. How happily I'd called her my third sister. She loved playing video games, so I'd stayed up late countless times playing with her. And somehow, I'd even gotten her an early release gaming pod. That gaming pod had been developed by one of the world's most technologically advanced gaming companies. Only 1,000 early release units existed worldwide. The Carter family might once have been the richest family in Harbor City, but internationally, they weren't important enough. Even with 1,000 units available, Their status still wasn't enough to secure one. Yet, I'd given Hannah one. I told her I'd won it in a giveaway. So, technically, I hadn't spent any money. But the fact that I gave away something that valuable showed just how much that relationship had meant to me back then, and how badly I'd wanted to get along with her. But later, Ryan became upset because Hannah and I were getting too close. He worried I might steal her affection and became depressed. To cheer Ryan up, Hannah started distancing herself from me, and even smashed the gaming pod I'd given her. Only then did Ryan become happy again. Later, when I started fighting back against Ryan, Hannah's opinion of me grew worse and worse. Deep down, she believed I hadn't always been a bad person, that I'd once been kind, and that the person I'd become now was partly the result of how badly they'd favored Ryan. But she still didn't believe favoring Ryan was wrong. Ryan had grown up with them, so naturally their bond with him was deeper. Was it really wrong for them to love Ryan more? Still, I was her biological younger brother, and she was willing to give me one more chance. Hannah collected herself, then said to me, "I know you're not a bad person at heart. The way you've become now is partly our fault, but a big part of it is because you used to be kind. Let's stop talking about the past. Let's give each other another chance. Change your ways, and become the person you used to be. We'll also try to treat you better. But you need to get along with Ryan. He's lived with us for so many years. We can't just throw away the bond we have with him. I hope you can understand that." Ryan was extremely unhappy inside. He had absolutely no desire to get along with me, and he definitely didn't want me returning to the Carter family. But since Hannah had already said all that, he couldn't openly object. After all, Carter blood ran through my veins, while he was technically the outsider. If he objected too strongly, he might make the Carter family suspicious of him. Ryan suppressed his displeasure and put on a gentle smile. "Ethan, just listen to Hannah. As long as you really change, I won't hold anything you've done to me in the past against you. I'll let it all go. And let's get along from now on, and take care of Dad and Mom together. Let's stop making them worry." Hannah looked warmly at Ryan. Ryan really is so mature. Growing up with a good education clearly made a difference. Then she turned toward me and spoke earnestly. "Ethan, tonight you can share the tent with Ryan. You brothers can use the opportunity to get closer." Ryan said generously, since Hannah already asked. "I'll listen to her. I'll give you half of my tent. You can sleep in it with me tonight." The comments exploded. Holy crap, there are so many things wrong here. I don't even know where to start. Ethan and Ryan, and Ryan, were actually the real and fake heirs who got switched at birth. Didn't the Carter family tell the public before that both of them were biological sons? Ethan is way too miserable. He was literally born into wealth. Then someone stole the life of luxury that belonged to him. And when he finally came home, his own mother and sisters still rejected him. Ethan hasn't cursed them nearly enough. Damn it, this is driving me crazy. Ethan, stop wasting words on them. Just beat them already. Beat the hell out of them. What did you just say? I looked at Ryan in amusement. Ryan maintained his generous expression and repeated in a gentle voice. I said, "I'm willing to give you half of my tent, so you can sleep with me tonight." I laughed mockingly. "Say that again? Whose tent?" The smile on Ryan's face stiffened. His expression shifted awkwardly. Hannah snapped impatiently. "Ryan already swallowed his pride and reached out to you. Stop being so petty. You stole my stuff, and now you're offering half of it back to me as a favor? Did a donkey kick both of you in the head? Does it really matter whose tent it is? Whether the tent belongs to Ryan or not, the fact that he's willing to let you sleep in half of it proves how kind he is. Why do you have to obsess over every little detail? Can't you be generous like Ryan for once?" Hannah scolded me angrily. I rolled my eyes. I had no intention of wasting more words on someone this brainless. I looked coldly at Ryan. My voice was freezing. "I'll count to 3. Pack up everything that belongs to me and give it back. Don't make me take it myself. You won't be able to handle what happens if I do." Ryan bit his lip and said defiantly, "Even if you brought these things here, they're in my hands now. So they're mine. You're not taking them away without those supplies." There was no way he could comfortably survive in the forest. He had no intention of returning them. As far as he was concerned, they already belonged to him. Ryan turned toward the other 3 and snapped angrily, "What are you standing around for? Get ready and stop him. Olivia, Sophia." And Kevin immediately stopped watching from the sidelines and scrambled to their feet. Each of them grabbed a wooden stick as thick as an arm. They'd picked them up earlier for self-defense, and now they finally had a use for them, Olivia said. "Ethan, stop fighting against all of us. Just apologize to Ryan and join our group. Otherwise, being alone in the forest at night is dangerous," Sophia said. "I may dislike you, but I don't want to see you die out here. As long as you're willing to apologize, I'll agree to let you join us." Kevin added, "Earlier we weren't prepared. That's the only reason you managed to hit us. Now that we're ready, there's no way you can beat all of us alone. Stop making this worse. Just admit defeat." Even though I'd already beaten all of them, none of them believed they were weaker than me. They thought they'd simply been caught off guard before, that I'd relied on surprise attacks, and only succeeded because they weren't prepared. As long as they stayed alert this time, there was no way I could beat so many of them. When I finished counting to 3, I didn't bother arguing. I simply stepped forward. Olivia and Sophia raised their wooden sticks and blocked my path. "Ethan, stop being stubborn. We don't want to bully you. Don't force us to actually hurt you," Sophia warned in a low voice. Olivia continued, "There's nothing shameful about admitting you were wrong. Just apologize," I sneered. "Wrong? What exactly did I do wrong?" "The ones in the wrong are you blind, shameless idiots. You stole my things, and now you're demanding that I apologize. 9 years of compulsory education produced people like you? What a bunch of morons." I fired off 2 quick kicks, sending both women flying backward. They crashed to the ground awkwardly and screamed in pain. Kevin shuddered in fear and dropped the wooden stick from his hand, seeing the murderous look on my face. Kevin didn't dare step forward. He quickly backed away in fear. With no one stopping me, I walked straight toward Ryan. "Hannah!" Ryan shouted. Hannah immediately spread her arms and stepped in front of him. "Ethan, you," before she could finish. I kicked her away too. Ryan started trembling all over, and hurriedly said, "I'll give everything back." "Don't hit me," I sneered. Too late. I slapped Ryan across the face again and again with both hands. He couldn't even scream anymore. His head snapped violently from side to side. It probably felt like his brain was being shaken into mush by the time I stopped. His face had swollen up like a pig's. A layer of makeup powder had rubbed onto my hands. I looked at it in disgust and wiped it onto Ryan's clothes, then tossed him aside like a piece of trash. Ryan was already dazed from the beating. Even after hitting the ground, he still couldn't react. I couldn't be bothered with him, and started packing up my things. I put everything scattered on the ground back into my backpack, then quickly folded up the tent and inflatable mattress. When I noticed that half the mosquito repellent was already gone, my temper flared instantly. Did Ryan have no common sense? You only needed a small amount each time, yet he'd used half the bottle at once. What the hell was inside that head of his? I was genuinely furious. Before leaving with all my belongings, I couldn't resist kicking Ryan one more time. Damn it. If murder weren't illegal, I'd crack open your skull myself, just to see if your brain is actually full of crap. Stupid and selfish. Completely useless. Hannah was furious. "Ethan, enough. Ryan is already beaten this badly, and you still won't stop? How can you be this vicious? Shut up, you're no better. You're trash too." I angrily kicked her as well. Hannah rolled across the ground and slammed her head against a rock, leaving her dazed. I gave a cold snort, then carried my belongings back to my campsite and comfortably climbed into my tent. The comments exploded. "Ethan is awesome. 1 against 5, and he still won. Ethan went way too easy on them. He should have sent them straight to the afterlife." Oh, Ethan went to sleep. Now we can't see him anymore. I'm already missing that gorgeous face. Damn, those people are plotting something again. They seriously never learn. I can't wait until the show ends and they find out the truth. Same here. I'm dying to see Ryan's reaction when he realizes his entire public image has collapsed. Ha ha ha. Meanwhile, not long after I left, Ryan finally recovered and threw himself into Hannah's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Hannah, it hurts so much. Ethan went way too far. I've always treated him so well, and he still beat me so brutally. He's completely ruined my face. in my entire life. I've never suffered this much humiliation. Hannah, you have to get revenge for me. Ryan cried his heart out, and Hannah's heart ached for him. She hugged him tightly and said seriously, Ryan, don't worry. I won't let you suffer for nothing. Ryan cried and whined, then go get revenge for me. Hannah's expression stiffened. We can't get revenge right now. He's acting like a complete lunatic. He starts hitting people after just a few words. And we can't beat him anyway. If we go after him now, we'll probably just get beaten again. Ryan cried even louder. Hannah said, I promise you, once we're back, I'll definitely get revenge for you. You're the Carter family's precious son. We'll never let anyone bully you. Ryan continued crying pitifully. Hannah held him and gently patted his back, softly comforting him. Ryan, stop crying. You're breaking my heart. Under her comforting words, Ryan's sobbing gradually quieted. The comments exploded. What the hell are you crying about? You're a thief. What right do you have to feel wronged? Ryan is basically a habitual thief. He stole Ethan's identity as the real heir, then stole Ethan's tent and supplies. Who knows how many other things. He's stolen from Ethan when nobody was watching? That beating was still too light. He deserved far worse. This is hilarious. They marketed Ryan as some kind, fragile sweetheart. Yet now he's sitting there demanding special treatment, and Hannah is promising revenge on Ethan for him. This is supposed to be a kind little angel? What an eye-opener. Once I disappeared from the camera, viewers began leaving the live stream at a visibly rapid rate. The audience had originally climbed to 120 million concurrent viewers. But after I crawled into my tent to sleep, nearly half of them disappeared in less than 30 minutes. And the number was still dropping. The director stared thoughtfully at the viewer count. He racked his brain for half an hour, then suddenly slapped his thigh and said, tomorrow, have someone steal Ethan's tent to ensure the guests' safety. The production team had deployed trained specialists throughout the forest, quietly hiding in different locations to keep wild animals away from the guests. If the guests encountered any other danger, those specialists would step in to rescue them too. So if they wanted to steal my tent without anyone noticing, it would be incredibly easy. A staff member asked in confusion, why steal Ethan's tent? The director said, once Ethan gets inside the tent, we can't film him, and the live stream loses viewers like crazy. We need him on camera more often. The staff member hesitated. There is another possibility. People do need to sleep. Maybe the viewers are just going to bed. Even if Ethan stayed on camera, people would still leave when it gets late. The director glared at him. Look at the time. Who goes to sleep this early? The staff member checked his phone. It's only 8:30. Ethan really went to bed that early? He didn't have a phone or any other entertainment, so going to sleep once it got dark was perfectly normal. 8:30 was actually peak internet traffic. Yet the live stream had lost a huge number of viewers, so it was obvious that Ethan disappearing from camera was the reason, which meant the production team had to do something. The staff member nodded. Understood. I'll contact the people in the forest right now and have them find a chance to act tomorrow. The next morning, just as the sky began to brighten, I woke up and stepped out of the tent. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath of the fresh morning air, immediately feeling refreshed. I took my toiletries to the river and washed up, then returned to the area in front of my tent and practiced a set of 8-step Vajra exercises taught to me by an old master. I'd learned this routine years ago while wandering outside, from an elderly man. He'd claimed that practicing it could cure almost any illness. I hadn't gotten sick once in all these years. I didn't know whether that was because I'd always been healthy or because practicing this routine for so long had strengthened my body and helped keep illness away. The comments started rolling in. Holy crap, what perfect timing. I just opened the live stream and Ethan is already online. It's only 5:30 and Ethan is already awake. That's insanely early. What kind of martial art is he practicing? His movements look so smooth. How many years has he been practicing? Ethan is way too handsome. Even simple movements look amazing when he does them. Before long, a new topic appeared on Weibo's trending searches, wilderness survival. Ethan is online. Come watch now, as the topic climbed the rankings. The live stream audience started rising rapidly too. By 6 o'clock, the viewer count had jumped from a little over 200,000 to more than 30 million. The backstage staff watching the numbers were stunned. Ethan really was the secret to getting traffic. His tent absolutely had to disappear. Anything that could hide his face had to be taken away. After finishing my exercises, I grabbed my folding knife and hiking pole and entered the forest. I was going hunting for breakfast. I left the rest of my equipment at the campsite. I didn't believe Ryan and the others would dare steal from me again, but if they really had the nerve to try, then I'd have no problem dealing with them again. The production team saw me enter the forest and immediately sent an order to the covert team stationed inside. Ethan has left the campsite. Get ready to steal the tent immediately. Make sure you don't leave any traces for him to notice. The forest team replied, understood. The forest security team had a total of 100 people, stationed separately in hidden locations throughout the forest. To keep wild animals away from this area, some of them also followed the guests from a distance, protecting their safety. There were 3 specialists assigned to my side. After receiving the production team's order, they gathered together to discuss how to steal my tent. Number 1 said, if the tent suddenly disappears, Ethan will definitely go looking for it. If he confronts the other guests, he'll realize they weren't the ones who stole it. Then he'll definitely become suspicious. Number 2 nodded. That makes sense. So we can't steal it ourselves. Number 3 asked in confusion, if we don't do it ourselves, then how are we supposed to make the tent disappear? Number 1 and number 2 exchanged a glance, and both broke into the same devious smile. Number 3 asked, why are you two smiling? Did you think of something? Stop keeping me in suspense. Tell me. Number 1 looked at number 3, burrs, and smiled. Remember that troop of monkeys we ran into? When we first came here to clear the forest, number 3's eyes widened. Don't tell me you want to lure the monkeys over and make them do the dirty work? I had no idea what the production team was plotting and had already entered the forest in search of prey. After spending the night roaming freely, the livestock released by the production team had already wandered deep into the forest. Unlike yesterday, when you could spot prey almost immediately after entering, I walked for half an hour before spotting a rooster standing on top of a pile of dry grass. I walked toward it. The rooster got scared and flew up, clucking loudly as it ran away. I looked down and noticed an egg sitting in the grass. It had just been laid and was still warm. I picked up the egg and continued deeper into the forest. One egg definitely wasn't enough for breakfast, so I needed to find more food. I'd originally planned to catch a chicken, but after walking a little farther, I spotted mushrooms growing on the ground. Eating chicken first thing in the morning would be a little heavy. An egg and mushroom soup would be enough for now. I could catch a chicken for lunch instead. I crouched down and started picking mushrooms. I'd studied this beforehand and also had some experience from the past, so I could tell which mushrooms were edible and which weren't. On my way back, I found 3 more eggs. Not a bad haul. Carrying my little basket, I happily headed back toward my campsite, but the moment I walked out of the forest, the sight in front of me left me stunned. A troop of monkeys had appeared out of nowhere. There had to be at least 30 of them. Right now, they were running wild all over my campsite. My tent and hiking backpack, along with the inflatable mattress, had already been torn to pieces. Everything inside the backpack had been dumped across the ground, and more than half of it had been ruined by the monkeys. My good mood instantly crashed. My blood pressure shot through the roof, and rage burned fiercely inside me. Where the hell did these damn monkeys come from? They actually destroyed my tent and luggage. When the monkeys saw me appear, they even bared their teeth and roared at me arrogantly. One of them noticed the basket in my hand and immediately rushed over and snatched it away. It rummaged through it, realized there was nothing tasty inside, then tossed it aside in disgust. The eggs shattered. I felt the rage in my chest explode, burning away the last of my rational thought. I'm going to kill you, I roared, and charged at the monkey troop like a madman. The monkeys refused to back down. They bared their teeth viciously at me, trying to scare me away, but I'd already lost my mind. The fiercer they acted, the more I wanted to beat them. There was no way they were scaring me off. Die. I grabbed one monkey and slapped it twice across the face. The monkey was completely stunned. I threw it aside and grabbed another one. The other monkeys immediately started attacking me, trying to avenge their troop member. I slapped one flying, then kicked 2 more away at once. Even the alpha monkey charged at me, only to get slapped twice and left seeing stars. The monkeys were all stunned. This upright creature was terrifyingly strong. The frightening upright creatures, who had driven them out of this part of the forest a few days ago, hadn't even been this vicious. The alpha monkey immediately made a decision and gave the signal for the troop to retreat. "Run! You destroyed my stuff. I'm going to rip every hair off your bodies." Burning with rage, I sprinted after them into the forest at full speed. I wasn't any slower than the monkeys. In fact, I was slightly faster, seeing the terrifying upright creature getting closer and closer. The monkeys swung through the trees as they fled, screeching in terror at the same time. That upright creature is terrifying. Run. Don't let him catch you or he'll eat you. The monkeys were absolutely terrified. Just as I was about to catch one that had fallen behind, thud, I accidentally tripped and fell. The monkeys immediately started screeching excitedly, as if they were mocking me. Burning with rage, I didn't even bother getting back up. Instead, I started crawling on all fours, at incredible speed, even faster than I could run. I roared while crawling, and throughout the chase, my eyes stayed locked firmly on those monkeys. Not one of you damn monkeys is getting away. When crawling started tiring me out, I copied the monkeys, grabbed onto vines, and started swinging. I was somehow even more agile on the vines than they were. The monkeys were completely stunned. What the hell? Are we the monkeys, or is he the monkey? The viewers in the live stream were equally stunned. Holy crap, the production team is evil. They deliberately lured the monkey troop over and had them destroy Ethan's tent and supplies. Ethan crawling across the ground looks absolutely insane. He's so crazy and I love it. Beat the hell out of those damn monkeys. I know these aren't the monkeys from Mount Emi, but every time I see a monkey, bad memories come rushing back. I hate all monkeys. The livestream audience kept discussing the scene. Someone screen recorded me crawling wildly across the ground, then swinging from vines while chasing monkeys, and posted it on Weibo. Every netizen who saw the video was stunned and couldn't help praising it. Some people even uploaded the clip to overseas social media, where it instantly went viral too. Countless foreign viewers. Geno rushed into the live stream after hearing about it. They were all fascinated by this bizarrely unpredictable male celebrity, whose behavior was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Nobody had ever seen a man chase monkeys across an entire mountainside like this before. And the key point was that the guy was ridiculously handsome. I became an international sensation almost overnight at Blake Group in Harbor City. Vivian Blake stepped out of the top floor elevator in a perfectly tailored dress, her appearance immaculate, and carrying the natural authority of someone used to being in control. She strode toward her office. As she passed her assistant's desk, she noticed her special assistant, Rachel, staring at her phone and grinning like an idiot. Vivian stopped. Her cold gaze settled on Rachel. "What are you watching during work hours? Why are you smiling like that?" "Ms. Blake, you're already back from the meeting?" Rachel jumped in fright and hurriedly placed her phone face down on the desk, then stood up quickly, looking guilty. "I wasn't watching anything. I was just about to get back to work." Vivian's gaze shifted coldly toward the phone. "Give it to me." Her unquestionable tone left Rachel unable to refuse. So she reluctantly picked up the phone and turned the screen toward Vivian. She said awkwardly, "Ms. Blake, I was watching Ethan Carter's reality show live stream. You have no idea how entertaining this show is. The production team deliberately left the guests alone in the forest and secretly live streamed them through hidden micro cameras. The moment the crew supposedly left yesterday, everyone immediately showed their true colors. Those celebrities who act kind in public are all selfish and fake behind the scenes? Well, except Ethan. He acts however he wants all the time, no matter who's around. Oh, right. Just now, Ethan was chasing an entire troop of monkeys through the forest. That's the video I was watching. Ms. Blake? Rachel knew Vivian had met with me privately, and that I was even staying at one of Vivian's villas. So she deliberately explained a little more, then opened the video and showed it to Vivian. Vivian lowered her gaze, her dark eyes settling on the screen. The moment she saw what I was doing in the video, her expression froze. Shock flashed through her eyes. Then her brows slowly drew together, and concern appeared in her gaze. I did look like I was in a questionable mental state. After thinking for a moment, he ordered, "In text, Contact several specialists in psychiatric treatment. Have them come to Harbor City in 7 days. Rachel asked worriedly, Ms. Blake, are you okay? She thought Vivian needed the doctors for herself. Vivian shot her a cold look. Just do what I told you. Why are you asking so many questions? Rachel lowered her head. Yes, Ms. Blake. Vivian turned toward her office, but after taking 2 steps, she stopped and looked back at Rachel. What's that show called? Rachel froze, not understanding. Huh? Vivian asked impatiently. The show where Ethan was swinging from vines. What's it called? Rachel answered. Wilderness Survival. Vivian turned and walked into her office, then sat down behind her desk. Unlike usual, she didn't immediately turn on her computer and start working. Instead, she took out her phone and searched for a reality show called Wilderness Survival. She first caught up on what had happened during yesterday's live stream when she saw the footage of me fighting Ryan and the news that public opinion about Hannah had completely reversed. The corner of her mouth lifted slightly. She seemed quietly pleased for me. Then she followed the links until she found the live stream. At that moment, the live stream had somehow surpassed 300 million viewers. She looked genuinely surprised. China had a population of over 1 billion, yet 300 million people were watching this single live stream. She still didn't know I'd already gone viral overseas, and that many of the viewers were international. Meanwhile, inside the forest, my mind was completely focused on beating those monkeys. After 3 hours of chasing them, the monkeys had completely run out of stamina and started slowing down. Each one was panting heavily, looking like it had lost the will to live. But I was still moving with the same agility and speed. My breathing remained steady. I wasn't even winded, as if the chase hadn't drained my stamina at all. I grabbed the exhausted alpha monkey and slapped it hard across the face. So you're the one who led these damn monkeys to destroy my things? You dare steal from me? I don't care if you're not human. I'm still not letting you off. I gave the alpha monkey a brutal beating until its face was swollen and bruised. By the time I finally let go, it collapsed on the ground and couldn't even crawl away. I turned a vicious gaze toward the rest of the troop, scanned through the monkeys, then grabbed another vine and swung after them. The monkeys screeched wildly as they fled in panic. But they weren't as fast as me, and they weren't as agile either. I caught every monkey in the troop and gave each one a beating. In the end, the ground was covered with battered, bruised monkeys. They stared at me in terror, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. You should be grateful you're protected animals. Otherwise, I'd chop off your hands and feet. Why are you just as obnoxious as those monkeys on Mount Ime? Why do monkeys love destroying other people's things so much? Touch my stuff again? And even your protected animal status won't save you. I spat on the ground. You destroyed my tent and luggage, and ruined my breakfast too. Useless trash. After saying that, I grabbed a vine and started heading back. On the way, I caught a hen that was in the middle of laying an egg, and brought both the hen and the egg back with me. The comments exploded. Ethan really believes in equal treatment. Every monkey involved in destroying his stuff got beaten. He didn't spare a single one. That's insane. Ethan went way too far. The monkeys don't know any better, but doesn't he? Why fight with animals like that? Those monkeys are so pitiful. Why blame Ethan? Blame the production team. They deliberately lured those monkeys over to destroy Ethan's belongings. Exactly. Ethan is just trying to survive. And he even remembered that the monkeys are protected animals. The fact that he didn't kill them means he already held back. When I returned to my campsite and saw the mess covering the ground, the anger I'd barely managed to calm down instantly surged back up. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying hard to suppress my temper. By the time I opened my eyes again, I'd regained control. I tied the chicken to the side with a vine, then started cleaning up the campsite. The tent was completely ruined and unusable. I gathered everything that could still be used and tossed the destroyed items aside. Then I collected some branches and started a fire. After that, I took the chicken to the river to clean it. By the time I finished preparing the chicken, the fire had already produced plenty of hot coals. I skewered the chicken and started roasting it over the fire. Then I went back to check the mushrooms I'd left earlier. I took them to the river and washed them clean, then built another small fire and placed a small metal pot over it to boil water. Once the water boiled, I added seasoning, making the aroma even richer. The smell of roasted chicken and mushroom soup drifted far through the forest. It carried through the air all the way toward the others. Sophia, Olivia, Kevin, Ryan, and Hannah all smelled it. Kevin sniffed hard, his eyes lighting up. That smells amazing. Ethan is already eating? I can smell roasted chicken. And mushroom soup, too. Ethan is seriously impressive. He actually found mushrooms and roasted a chicken that smells this good. This is torture. My stomach is growling again. The more Kevin talked, the hungrier he became, and his mouth started watering even more. The others couldn't help swallowing too, and all turned toward the direction of my campsite. They couldn't actually see me from where they were, but still found themselves staring that way. Olivia frowned. Why hasn't the production team sent anyone yet? Sophia said, it's been so long. They should have realized by now that we were left in the forest. Either they should have sent a new production team, or come pick us up. So why is nobody here? Hannah looked extremely irritated. What the hell is the production team doing? When I see them again, I'm definitely going to settle this with them. Leaving the guests stranded in the forest for this long is absolutely negligent. Everyone looked unhappy. They'd already decided that once they got back, they would demand compensation for emotional distress. Ryan said, I'm starving. Go find something to eat. Who knows when the production team will come back? I don't want to keep waiting like this. They had been waiting by the river since sunrise. They'd assumed the production team would definitely come for them today, but they'd been waiting since the first light of dawn, and no one had appeared. They were already extremely impatient. They'd also been thinking that when the production team came back, they'd bring food, so there was no point searching for food themselves. They could simply eat whatever the crew brought. They hadn't eaten anything all day yesterday, and by now they were starving. The only thing keeping them going was sheer willpower. But now, with the smell of food drifting over from my campsite, they couldn't take it anymore. Their willpower instantly collapsed. We're suffering this badly, while Ethan looks like he's on vacation. That's not fair. Why should he get to live like that? Hannah said. Fine. Let's get something to eat first. Then we can keep waiting after we're full. Olivia, Sophia, the three of us will go look for food. You guys stay here and keep waiting. Olivia and Sophia stood up. Okay. The three women entered the forest full of confidence. They all believed that if I could catch prey so easily every time, then they could too. After they entered the forest, Kevin said to Ryan, let's go collect some dry firewood first. Then when they come back with the food, we can start a fire and roast it right away. At the mention of roasted meat, Kevin couldn't help swallowing again. I'm starving. I just want to save some time, so we can eat something good as soon as possible. Ryan frowned unhappily. Are you ordering me around and telling me to do that kind of lowly farm work? Kevin quickly said, I wasn't ordering you. I really wasn't. I was just making a suggestion. Ryan sneered. I'm not gathering firewood. I don't do that kind of thing. Since you suggested it, you can go do it yourself. And make sure you collect plenty. The five of us will have a lot of meat to roast. If you don't bring enough, it won't cook properly. Kevin's face alternated between red and pale, but in the end, he said nothing, and went off alone to gather firewood, feeling miserable. He didn't have my courage to stand up to Ryan. Ryan watched him leave, and mocked him. I heard you were born in the countryside. This kind of farm work suits you perfectly. I'm just giving you a chance to experience it again. And remember the old days. So don't misunderstand my kindness and think I'm targeting you. Kevin clenched his fists tightly, but forced a smile onto his face. Thanks for thinking of me, Ryan. I'll make sure to enjoy the nostalgia. He endured it, telling himself he'd quit the entertainment industry once he'd made enough money. Then he wouldn't have to deal with all the monsters and hypocrites in this business anymore. Ryan sat beside the river, swallowing as he smelled the roasted meat, while continuing to stare into the distance downstream. Why aren't they here yet? Damn production team. You'd better all be dead. The comments exploded. Ryan disgusts me again. He's actually mocking farmers now? What's wrong with being a farmer? Farmers are better than an identity-stealing thief like you. If he looks down on farmers that much, then he better never use anything produced by farmers for the rest of his life. Does he seriously think he's some kind of nobleman? Does he think stealing Ethan's identity made him better than everyone else? Nearly an hour later, Hannah, Olivia, and Sophia came out of the forest. Ryan looked toward them excitedly, but when he saw they weren't carrying any prey, his expression instantly darkened. "Why did you come back empty-handed? Where's the food?" Olivia said, "The animals have all gone deeper into the forest. We walked for a long time, and spotted a few chickens, but they were much more alert today. They ran too fast, and there were too many trees and bushes blocking the way. They disappeared before we knew it. We couldn't catch them. We only found a few eggs." She pulled 4 eggs from her pocket. Sophia took out 3, and Hannah had 4 as well. 11 eggs in total. Hannah said, "There were 5 of us, and we have 11 eggs. That's 2 each, with 1 left over. Let's just eat these to hold us over. When the production team comes back, we'll ask them for more food." Ryan couldn't take it anymore. "You know I don't like eggs. You've always known that. Why can Ethan catch prey every single time, but none of you can catch anything? Are you 3 even women? The 3 of you can't compare to Ethan alone. Isn't that embarrassing?" He was exhausted and starving. His body also hurt and itched all over, and his emotions were completely falling apart. Dask. Olivia's temper flared too. She snapped, "Yes, I'm a woman. But you're a man, just like Ethan. If he can do it, why can't you? Go catch something yourself. If you can do it, then you'll have the right to criticize us. Otherwise, someone who hasn't contributed a single thing has no right to stand there complaining." Ryan glared at her furiously. "You dare talk back to me?" Olivia took a deep breath, then said coldly, "I'm done teaming up with you. I found these eggs myself. I'm taking my things and finding somewhere else to stay." She went over and picked up her backpack, then left alone to find another campsite. Sophia thought for a moment and said, "I'll go with Olivia. It's not safe for her to be alone." She took her eggs and belongings and left too. Kevin wanted to follow them, but Ryan shot him a sharp look and asked coldly, "Are you leaving with them too?" Kevin forced an awkward smile and quickly shook his head. No, I was just looking." His status wasn't as high as Olivia's or Sophia's, so he didn't dare oppose Ryan the way they did. Olivia was a top celebrity, signed with an overseas entertainment company. Even if the Carter family tried to suppress her, she could still keep working. She would only lose some opportunities. Sophia was an award-winning actress with real talent and had her own connections. Even without support from the Carter family, her career would only progress more slowly. It wouldn't be destroyed. But Kevin was different. He was only a newcomer in the entertainment industry, with no background and little fame, and his abilities were only average. If he offended the Carter family, his company wouldn't go against them. For someone as insignificant as him, they might even blacklist him just to please the Carters. So he could only go along with Ryan and keep trying to please him. Ryan gave a cold snort when he saw Kevin didn't dare leave. Hannah silently put down the eggs. Ryan seemed to realize that he'd accidentally insulted Hannah too. So he immediately softened his voice and wrapped his arms around Hannah's arm, pressing his whole body against her. He said sweetly, "Hannah, I wasn't talking about you just now. In my heart, you're incredibly capable. You're like an unbeatable superhero. You're my idol. You're the best person in the world to me. Those animals are wild, and you've never done this kind of thing before, so it's perfectly normal that you couldn't catch them." Hannah's expression improved slightly, but Ryan clinging so closely to her made her uncomfortable. So she pulled her arm free. "Let's cook the eggs first." Kevin had already brought back the firewood and broken it into pieces suitable for burning. Hannah used a lighter to start the fire. Once the flames grew stronger, she placed 4 eggs directly into the fire. They hadn't brought a pot, so they couldn't boil or fry them. Their only option was to roast them over the flames. 5 minutes later, all 4 eggs suddenly exploded. The blasts scattered the entire fire. Eggshell fragments flew in every direction. Ryan, Hannah, and Kevin were all gathered around the fire, and pieces of exploding eggshell sprayed all over them. What happened? What just exploded? Ryan panicked and immediately hid behind Hannah. Hannah brushed the eggshells and sparks off herself. Her face filled with alarm too, but she still remembered to pat Ryan reassuringly on the back. "Don't be scared. It was just the eggs exploding. It's over now." Ryan stared in disbelief. "Eggs can explode?" Hannah said. "I remember you're not supposed to heat eggs in a microwave. Because they'll explode. I didn't know roasting them in a fire would do the same thing. Ryan nearly exploded with rage. He stomped his foot hard. Those 4 eggs were supposed to be our lunch. Now they're all ruined. What are we supposed to eat? Ryan turned furiously toward Kevin. Why didn't you warn us? You were born in the countryside. You must know this kind of basic stuff. Did you deliberately keep quiet? So I'd have nothing to eat? Kevin shook his head frantically. No. I didn't hide anything on purpose. I didn't know eggs would explode either. Ryan didn't believe him. You expect me to believe that? You're from the countryside. How could you not know something like this? Kevin said, I've never roasted eggs before. I really didn't know. The countryside isn't like it used to be. Being born there doesn't automatically mean you have to do farm work. I may have grown up in the countryside, but my family spoiled me quite a lot. They barely made me do any chores. My parents always told me to focus on studying, and that I didn't need to help with farm work. Our family moved into the city a long time ago, so I genuinely don't know a lot of rural survival stuff. Ryan snapped. You still dare argue with me? Kevin immediately shut his mouth. Ryan said impatiently, because of your negligence. My sister and I lost our lunch. Go into the forest by yourself right now and find us more food. Don't come back until you find something. Kevin looked terrified. You want me to go alone? I'm scared, Ryan scoffed. Stop pretending to be weak. Someone born in the countryside is scared of going into a forest. Don't think I don't know what you're really planning. You're pretending to be afraid. So my sister will go into the forest with you. You're trying to use the opportunity to seduce her, aren't you?